All right.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
And I guess we're ready to go.
Yep.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. And welcome. It is Perilous World Radio. David Masters with Jan Masters today. And Jan is my sister-in-law. Welcome, Jan.
Good to be here. Thank you.
And so already this morning, we've got somebody chirping in on the chat. And you want to talk about that, Jan?
Yeah. So yesterday, I kept seeing in my feeds that President Trump shared on Truth Social this prophecy by Kim Clement. And many people have heard of him now. I think he was from New Zealand or Australia. And he was drawn, he said the Spirit of God told him he's supposed to come to America and prophesy. He has a fascinating story. And in 2007, he started prophesying things like Trump will become a trumpet. And he didn't even actually know what he was prophesying at the time and who. He wasn't totally sure what it was until it started to fall. And he started to understand, okay? Because this was, 9 years before President Trump ran for the presidency. And he prophesies all these things about this president that the Lord has chosen to be his David, to take down these, the giants, basically, which he is doing today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
Communism, David, is falling around the world. And he has his sights set on Cuba now. Don't know if you heard that.
Yes, I did.
And I think he said he's going to tap Marco, obviously, to help him with that, which Marco has been all the time. And did you know that back in 2016 or so, or 2015 or 16, after the presidential debates, that Marco Rubio was going to drop out of politics?
No.
And guess who talked him into staying in? Trump.
What? Really?
Yes. I thought that
Wow.
was fascinating. And I believe that Trump had him, in his mind, tagged for this years ago, because I think Trump has always had his eyes set on Cuba. And so that's just my own feeling, is that he told him to stay in because he had a mission for him. And it's unfolding in front of us.
So the person on the chat writes that Kim Clement prophecy from 2007, I shall find him with my spirit when he goes into office, and there will be a praying man in the highest seat of our land.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And he says very interesting things. He says, they will say he has hot blood, but he said, and the Spirit says, but I will fool the people. I will fool the people. It's very, you got to listen. It's a really interesting prophecy. When you hear it, you're like, wow. And he says that he's going to have 2 terms, etc. So a lot of people, when 2020 was stolen, a lot of people started to think, well, maybe Kim Clement was wrong. Or they held on and said, you know what? No, he's going to have a second term. There were actually a lot of people out there that had prophecy that Trump would have 2 terms. And in between there, some fell away and some held on and said, you know what? I believe God's going to give him a second term. And he did.
I think prophecy is one of the most fascinating areas of spirituality. And because what it shows is that time is not a restriction on truth or reality.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to. And that the truth of prophecy is the idea that consciousness itself is non-local, which means your brain is simply a receiver that picks up information. Now, you have you have the capacity to use your brain however you want to. You could use it for good things or bad things, but consciousness, real true consciousness, is not located in you. It's located outside of you, and we can receive it, we can pick up on it if we are tuned into it. Now, It's the same thing
Mm.
with being tuned into darkness and evil. I mean,
Well,
you know,
that's
people.
interesting.
Oh yeah,
I was
yeah.
just going to say
Hmm.
that there is a dark and a light side of the spirit, and the dark side can also tap in to, like, that's what say what is those people you go to tell you your future?
Soothsayers.
Soothsayers, okay?
Yes,
So
mediums. Yeah.
the dark spirits are also able to tap into things about you that they know, and it appears that they are telling the future as well. But God warns in the Bible not to go to these people, because there are two sides of the spirit. And so there's God prophesies, and of course, the dark side has its own version, its counterfeit version of the same thing.
Yes, and also the Bible tells us to test the spirit. And again,
Exactly.
how do you test the spirit? Well,
Mm.
first of all, it's important to know that the Bible lays out sort of an overview of the spiritual world. And to test the spirit means that you have some basic understanding of, the word of God and the right and the wrong of things. But, a lot of people, they lack that ability. And, I just saw something this morning on narcissism.
Mm.
And there's a documentary coming out on narcissists, and these are people who lack empathy and are totally self-absorbed and ego-based and selfish. But the idea is that depending upon the inclination of your soul, you will lean toward one of these frequencies, the frequency of truth, or away from it.
Well, that's true. And I've heard testimony after testimony of people who got drawn into the wrong side of spiritual reality, thinking they were getting truth. And, Sid Roth was one of them. I don't know if
Mm.
you ever heard his testimony. Very interesting. And he was basically brought up in a very Jewish family. But at some point, he felt like, I don't see this God anywhere. And he became an atheist.
Mm.
Well, then later on, he became drawn into this new age. He went to this new age class thing where they could teach you how to kind of not prophesy, but, see things in the spirit. So he went to this place. He started learning how to do it. And they did this test on him where, like, they had a woman who had breast cancer, okay? And they had like a drawing of her with an X on the breast area. And they said, okay, tell us what you see. And he wasn't looking at the paper, right? And then he said breast cancer. And he was right. So he started feeling like this bit of power in this dark side. There is a certain power there that he was tapping into. Well, to make a long story short, at some point he began working with a company that had a lot of Christians in it. And they knew what he was into. And they said, your God frowns upon what you're doing. And he was like, what are you talking about? And they showed him in the Bible how God said, don't get involved with these kind of things. And he was mad at first. But then he said he went home and I believe he prayed about it and asked God about it. And as he started to question it, this entity that was giving him the information began to turn on him.
Mm.
It turned on him and it scared him, and he realized that what he was doing actually was darkness.
Wow.
And he became saved after that. He turned his faith into Christ and became a Jewish believer. Anyway, it's more interesting to hear it from him, but that's the bullet points, and it's very interesting. And I've heard a lot of other people with the same thing.
Yeah, the spirits that are in this world, we worked on a project, my dad and I, many, many years ago, decades ago, called the Satan Principle.
Mm-hmm.
And the subhead was, it's evil that says there is no evil.
Right.
See, and so the idea is that if you don't know what you're dealing with, you're more likely to fall into its clutches if you don't understand. So this is why people have to watch their kids, like hawks, because today the pedophiles, the demonic satanic order is
Yes.
trying to destroy the innocence of children. So we got to take a quick break here. FHU.com is where you find out about the Be Still and Know exercise. It is biblical, and it's an instruction that helps to realign you with God at FHU.com. We'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, in 3, 2, 1, and welcome back. We are talking about this whole idea of the spiritual world that we live in, and the story you just told about Sid Roth is really compelling because we all have to deal with the dark side. There's no way around it. Now, some people they want to make a friend of it, and this is the weird part of it, which is where they get into spiritualism and
Mm-hmm.
the occult and the dark arts, because they may convert because they have fear. And people that are into the dark side and the dark arts, they do it to get the power of the thing that they feared. See, so if it's powerful enough to make them have fear, then with it they can make others have fear. And this is just an idea that people don't even have any sense of. And fear is a survival mechanism for most people. But when you convert fear to a mechanism of controlling others, that's when it gets really dark and dangerous, Jan.
Well, I would say most people that get involved in the dark side of the spirit are not afraid when they get into it. They do sense a power, though, that they can have. And this is why many, many, many women and people who have been molested in their life get drawn into the new age and that spiritualism, because they finally feel like they can have the power over their enemies, over what they might think is the evil side of life, but they don't realize that it's not about you having power. That is another trick of Satan, because that's what he told Eve. She would be powerful like God, right? She would be like him. So the ultimate path is when you realize you don't have the power, but God does. And by submitting to him, his power then protects you, not your own power that you're getting from the dark side.
Exactly. So I have some audio from a program called Mindfield, like Minefield, except for Mindfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just got 2 clips of this, but it lays the groundwork for the power that people give to hypnotic influences. And this clip talks about how morals are influenced by factors we're not aware of. Here it comes.
Moral psychology isn't always an easy thing to study. First of all, just using a survey to ask people what they think is moral doesn't always reveal what they would do in real life. An experiment that actually puts people in what feels like a real scenario may get more realistic results, but researchers must always balance the benefits of what we could learn with the safety and well-being of the people they study. Secondly, what we learn from moral psychology experiments doesn't always make humans look good. For example, today we're going to look at moral licensing, the theory that when you do something good, you subconsciously feel you've earned a license to then do something bad.
Ooh,
Wow.
oh yeah. That's moral psychology.
I've never heard that.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Yes, moral licensing.
Interesting.
And people don't even know that they're doing it. It's because it is an unspoken code of moral licensing, meaning, well, I only did it one time, or, well, I had to find out for myself if it was right or wrong. these moral licensing that people do, let's just say, for example, if they take something from a workplace, and so, well, they have, I've worked here so many years, and I've put in so much time. So they make themselves believe that they are entitled to do something that you would otherwise not do, because you see what I'm saying? That's moral licensing.
Okay.
Well, I deserve it.
Oh my gosh. I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday, and he was talking about some of the belief that's out there moving toward anti-Israel, pro-Gaza, how they're killing all the people. And I said, well, first of all, we have to be careful because there's an information war. Okay. I said,
Yes.
just like in our country, who controls the press? The left, right?
Yes.
Everything you hear is spun. And a lot of the information that was coming out of Israel or out of the Gaza situation was pro-Hamas. I said, so you got to be careful. You really don't know. And so I said, and second of all, nobody forced Hamas to go into Israel on October 7th and take the hostages and brutally murder. Nobody, because they're all trying to say, Israel's behind it. I said, nobody forced Hamas to do those evil things. Israel responded and reacted to it, right? But they want to go, well, they're overdoing it. I said, but you have to realize Israel did not create that. They were responding to it. So then he said, well, they think that that's their land too, Hamas, right? I said, wait a minute. It doesn't matter what they think. He said, it's just like in this country where they started empowering Black people to say, because the whites have had so much, in their lives, they've been given so much, and
White
they've
privilege.
they've taken so much from us that we are justified in going into the stores and taking things, and that's our reparation.
Right.
So that's moral licensing right there.
Yes.
You
Exactly
justify
right.
in your mind why you are entitled to something. And so this happens all the time.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, that's a perfect example. And I've even heard some of the people who were stealing and looting saying, well, this is our reparation.
Right.
So
And the devil's got them.
That's right. And see, the devil is always in the details. So the bigger picture does not necessarily match up to the little picture. And that's what the moral licensing issue is really about. People give themselves permission to do things, and they justify it. They rationalize it so perfectly. So
that is the story of man. That's the story of Hitler. That's the story of anybody that goes out and murders because they're angry. They feel justified. That's it. We're able to convince ourselves it's okay.
Quick break here. And again, FHU.com. If you want to write to us, it's P.O. Box 1000, Grants Pass, Oregon, 97528. I know I said that fast. P.O. Box 1000, Grants Pass, Oregon, 97528, or FHU.com. Find out about the Be Still and Know exercise. It will realign you into the real world.
Okay.
All right. This is segment 3, 2, 1. And continuing on this topic of moral licensing, I love these topics because they make us kind of dig down and excavate around.
Yeah, and see if we're doing that. See if we're doing that in some small way in our life. Well, you know what? That person is so-and-so, so they don't deserve this or that, an eye for an eye. But we have to realize, if you really believe in God and you have submitted yourself to him, you let him bless you when he's ready. You don't try to take, you know what I'm saying? Take what you think is yours.
Most people don't have patience. I mean, look what happened. Who was it that went ahead of God? And
Abraham.
Abraham,
I was thinking the
right?
same thing.
Yes, with the servant girl.
Yes.
But see, he allowed himself to be convinced that it was a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I got to have a son. I mean, and and the idea is, well, if you take and step back for a minute and say, what would you rather have? Would you rather have something given to you by God, or would you rather have something given to you by a human?
Even though
Well,
God had promised it,
That's
you
right.
can't fulfill it. You got
That's
to
right.
also let him fulfill it.
Exactly. And so, but most people don't have genuine and authentic patience. They'll be patient as long as it serves them. But when
Right.
that patience stops serving them, their ego and their impulse driven desires and whatever. I mean, of course, Abraham was an old man, and
Right.
he wanted to have a son to pass on his inheritance to. So, but see, at the core of that was a little bit of doubt. Like, wait a minute, I've waited a
Right.
long time
Right.
for this.
I mean,
Where's my God?
that should be a testimony to every person that how long it took God to fulfill it and to realize he always intended to, but there was a testing in there. And so we must wait upon the Lord. That's where your blessing lies. If you try to give yourself the blessings, it's not going to work, or take the blessings as you think you deserve. It's
So
not. Yeah, go ahead.
GWC Rumble says on the chat, Leviticus 26. But the point that gets me interested here is see the mediums talking to the dead. Now, they have TV shows about this where the mediums talk to the dead.
I know they do. Yeah.
Man,
so let's read the quote that he put up there. Leviticus 26. If
Go
a
ahead.
person turns to mediums and necromancers, whoring after them, I will set my face against them and will cut him off. See the mediums talking to the dead? Okay, that's what Rumble said. So interestingly, that is what King Saul did after God took the spirit away from him for being prideful and not doing what he wanted. So then he went to the mediums to try to get the spiritual answers. Doesn't work.
Well, and isn't that, in a manner of speaking, trying to manipulate reality itself? And again, going back to the time of ancient Israel, they were into rituals of all kinds. Rituals were outcome-based behaviors, like, even killing the fatted calf and all the rest of it. It was like getting God to notice you and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really based in a belief about whether or not you could get what you wanted through obeying the laws and fulfilling the rituals and all the rest of it. So it wasn't, and I think that Saul was very narcissistic. God had given him the ability to win all of the conflicts that he was in, right?
Yes.
He won all these wars, and then he looked at himself and said, "Look how great I am."
That's it.
This is the downfall of every human being.
That's right.
And this is this is where the devil himself, Lucifer, saw his own beauty and started to the machinations of this self, thinking, "Well, I'm so beautiful. Look at me. I can be God."
Do not let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Yeah. Don't let your ego take credit for what God has done in your life.
Amen.
And suffering is a test, right? Job had to go through suffering. I think, David, that success and blessing is actually more of a test than suffering.
It can be.
What you do with your blessing, are you going to puff yourself up with it, or are you going to always be humble and realize that it's all from the grace of God?
Yes. So, with this whole idea of licensing, moral licensing, I got one more clip here, and it gets a little more interesting here.
Okay.
I've been working with Dr. Kyle Stanford from the Department of Logic and Philosophy of Science at the University of California, Irvine, on a way to observe moral licensing in the wild. So I want to see moral licensing in effect. I want to see people who have been led to believe through their own actions that they're good, use that feeling to do bad.
The thing to keep in mind, it's like people are keeping tabs and they give themselves credit for the good thing they did, but none of that is happening consciously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't imagine that a person who's engaged in moral licensing is asking themselves in their head,
Right, pulling out their scorecard.
what should I be? Is it make me a good person? But it is going on, and they don't experience it.
Don't know that it's happening.
Right.
Mm.
Mm.
And again, these are the subconscious. Remember, I said the devil's in the details. The subconscious reasoning, but the question is, where does that subconscious reasoning come from? And I said earlier that consciousness itself is non-local. And so what does that mean? That there is a stream of consciousness. There are two streams of consciousness, and there are many variations in those streams of consciousness, just like as a radio can pick up AM or FM and hundreds of different programs on either channel. We have streams of consciousness that are trying. Let me put it to you this way. GPS. Your phone, when you turn on your GPS on your phone connects to the satellite, and the satellite's feeding you information. It's no different in the spiritual world.
And you find what you look for. You find what you look for.
Absolutely. And it finds you.
Yeah.
Because you've turned on the signal. It's like, here I am. I'm available.
So it really does come down to the inclination of the heart at that moment in time where you're at. If you're searching for your own glory, you're going to find things that will support that. Now, interesting, Duke on the chat says, it's interesting you guys are on this subject after last night's conversation. He has a niece and some other family members who are into being white witches. And I have heard a lot about this, and it is a great deception to me. It does remind me of what the serpent told Eve in the garden. She thought it was going to be good, okay? A good white witch. But it all comes down to your own ability, your own goodness, your own ability to create your future. And they do spells and things like this, and they worship the earth. So, Duke, if you want to help your family members, I would suggest you go on YouTube and put in White Witch Finds Jesus, okay? You will hear testimonies of people who have come out of that and have ended up seeing the dark side of it. Listen to a few till you find one you think sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah, it's amazing testimony too, because those people to eyes open and they realize what they're dealing with.
Yes.
And I knew a woman who was a white witch, and the person was not, let me put it to you this way. That person was vulnerable because they had been hurt and abused.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same core exactly, is that a person will find a way to gain power without actually having, faith in God. Their God becomes whatever it is that supplies them with whatever their ego needs are.
Their goal, their goal is to never be powerless again. Because they were powerless, abused when they couldn't fight back. So they figure out how to get on the other side of the equation and have the power. But it's two sides of the same coin. And ultimately, many of them realize that's not the answer either. What they're really looking for is the true love of the good Father that will protect them. The Father that wasn't there when they needed them in the physical form. The spiritual Father, He's the only one that can fill that need for security and love and protection.
Well, I could just give you one more example, and that is that you know who Tammy Bruce is, right?
Yes.
So I worked with her for about 5 years as a producer for her radio show. And come to find out that she was the head of the National Organization of Women in Los Angeles. Did you know that?
No.
She was the head person of the NOW organization until she realized that they weren't really helping women. Now, again, if you take a look at that the idea that she believed that that women had to have a right to access abortion because somehow, they were abused or whatever.
Right.
So underlying a lot of the motivation was this altruistic idea that she was helping people.
Right.
But then when she realized that they were just exploiting people, she became a rabid conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And now she works for Trump.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that you see, the motivations are very subtle. That you can take a motivation such as I'm helping people, and this is that moral licensing. So we can do away with babies because the person got that baby through a terrible experience.
Right.
The motivation there is that they really believe that they're helping to right some kind of wrong or to balance some kind of injustice until they realize that they are themselves unjust.
It's the great deception.
It is the great
It is
deception.
one of the greatest deceptions to convince women that, now, of course, they always point to the rape,
Yeah. Mhm.
and there are even women out there who chose to keep their child through a rape,
Yes,
and they've
that's
been
true.
blessed, and the child
Okay.
testifies.
10
ahead.
seconds.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick break here, FHU.com. Be still and know God has said this to you. Let him show you the rest. We'll be right back. Okay. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are going to continue this subject. People seem to be resonating with the idea of
Mhm.
witches. A witch can be a person who has, I would say that most witches, as a matter of fact, I got to tell you this. I was doing a podcast with a friend of mine, and so they set me up with a woman who was a practicing witch. Now, I didn't know that as an interview
Yeah.
for the podcast. So just me in my natural inclination toward doing what God wants me to do, I said, look, I just want to let you know before the interview, I'm not into the new age. As a matter of fact, virtue signaling and all that is crazy to me. Well, that got her ruffled. And so then she says to me, well, I'm a practicing witch. And I said, oh, all right. I said, I'll tell you what, we can still do the interview, but I don't want to go into that arena of stuff because I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then she called back, a couple of days later, said, I'm not going to do this interview.
Mm-hmm.
You see, what you do is you begin the process of elimination by being truthful and true to your own values. If you're not true to your own values, then how can you know what you might have prevented from becoming a dissemination of evil information?
Right.
And
look at the culture right now, David. Satanism, witchcraft has become very acceptable. Taylor Swift is well known to be a practicing witch.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. And
she looks like a witch.
Yeah. If you look at some of her shows, she has these witchcraft themes and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So there's a lot of that out there. A lot.
Yeah, I had no idea. But I'm not I don't like her music. I'm not a fanboy,
But she's got the following. She's got people into her spell. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
And she is preaching that to the young generation, and they want to be that. They want to have that power, that allure of the feminine mystique of witchcraft. It's just out there. That's what she is doing. And I saw a testimony of a guy.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I saw a testimony of a guy who got caught up into a lot of this stuff, and he was writing rap music, and it was having these. He felt like a spirit was helping him write it, and he had a hell experience or a vision where God showed him his arm and his hand and how he was actually drawing people to hell. He was actually bringing people to hell, like the way the apostles would bring people to Christ.
Yeah.
He was actually preaching there's another word. I can't think of it, but
Proselytizing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I say. So
Yeah.
when whatever we do, David, whether we are on a stage
He was
or not,
inducting people is what he was
yes, he
doing.
was channeling from
Yeah.
that spirit and drawing people to it.
Mm.
So of course that people, they'll say, "Oh, that's ridiculous," but that's what's going on in your entertainment.
Yeah, I was going to say that Madonna was doing the same
Oh, yeah.
thing with,
Oh, yeah.
with the Kabbalah and all this mystical,
Yep.
strange stuff. And, it's like and if you, let's see, what did I see? Oh, did you see the Bob Dylan confession that he made a deal with the master of the world?
Oh, yeah. It's been a
Yeah.
while since I saw that.
But people tried to spin that to say that he was talking about God, but he wasn't.
No.
Mm-mm.
No,
And
no.
a lot of these people have made that deal. See,
That's
but
right.
it could be a tacit deal. It could be like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Most people don't take this stuff seriously because they don't understand what they're dealing with.
That's true.
They just don't. They have
Exactly
no
true.
sense, and they don't understand that they are nothing more than a receiver and a transmitter. But again, you have a choice in the matter. You can choose to lean into or away from the right and the wrong things. That's the mystery, I think, of the soul. Is like your soul has a sense like a salmon. If you can imagine discombobulating salmon so that they weren't sure whether or not they were supposed to swim back upstream, what would happen to the species?
Right.
They go back upstream to continue, So I'm just saying that animals, if you took the magnetite out of the homing pigeon, it wouldn't know where to go. It's just one little tiny thing in its brain. This is, and I believe, and this is another whole story, but RFK Jr. has admitted that the clot shot has caused massive injuries to people. So them convincing us it was a great thing. You can go out and travel and do whatever you want and live your life, except for until it kills you.
Exactly.
And
if you look at the message in the entertainment industry, it's all the same message that was in the garden. Your glory. It's all about your glory, what you want. So, and that's a very popular message. The me generation, they used to call it. It's all about you.
So this new documentary on narcissism,
Mm.
and they have some people talking about how our society doesn't discourage narcissism and selfishness and self-aggrandizement.
Encourages it.
She was saying you get rewarded for it. And this is what these influencers are all about. They do crazy stuff. They induce people into their little web of craziness, and they get paid for it. They get money. Now, again, what did Judas do? He traded Jesus's life for a little bag of silver.
Right.
I mean, that's the Judas syndrome all over again. If you don't even know that you're doing it, it doesn't matter because you're still going to pay a price for it yourself. Okay, we got to take a quick break here. That's the end of this hour, if you can believe that. But we got another hour to come. We're going to talk more about this. And please do yourself a favor. Figure out that you're going down the wrong path. Repent, turn around, and learn how to get quiet with Be Still and Know at FHU, foundationofhumanunderstanding.com. Okay, hour number 2.
That went fast.
Sure did. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Now, we welcome to the program Jan Masters joining me today. And I want to talk about another side because, see, the hypnotic influence of the world. My dad used to do these seminars called the Hypnosis of Life seminars. And he would demonstrate hypnosis. And the simplicity of it is mind-boggling because he says, and this is absolutely true, that life itself is hypnotic. And I don't know if you've ever caught yourself just staring at something and sort of getting mesmerized and caught up with, it could be anything. You could just be staring out into space, daydreaming. But so the idea of hypnotic influences that are having an effect on us, it doesn't usually show up until you turn around one day after doing something that goes terribly wrong and backfires, and you say to yourself, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I do that? You ever had
Right.
that experience?
Yeah.
I know I have. I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
and you know, here's the thing. When you get angry, there's an open door for all kinds of strange things to come flooding in, and you say things and you do things when you're upset, when you're
Yes.
emotional, that you would never otherwise do. I have to say that part of that has to be attributable to a hypnotic influence. And again, this goes to the idea that consciousness is non-local. So the consciousness is waiting for an opening. See, consciousness from God is the same thing. Consciousness from above is waiting for you to open up to it. Same thing with the dark side. Same
Right.
thing with the dark side. So I've got this audio of an experiment that was done by a production company who wanted to disprove this idea of getting people to do something terrible under hypnosis. Because, see, hypnotists believe that you can't compel people to do horrible,
To
terrible
go against their
things.
conscience.
That's right.
Right.
But it's not true. And so I've only got 3 clips here, but it makes the point perfectly for the argument of the hypnosis of life, that people are already hypnotized, that the mind has no firewall. You can't keep influences and hypnotic suggestions out. Okay? So here comes the first clip. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Hey, Ivan, I was just coming by to say goodbye to everybody. Just let your entire body relax from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of the
It's the moment of truth.
under 5 inches.
Programmed by hypnotist Tom Silver, Ivan, a 36-year-old corrections officer, is told to assassinate a foreign dignitary who is about to exit this hotel.
Now, Ivan, there is a bad guy downstairs.
Ivan's been instructed to take a gun out of a red backpack, walk over to a velvet rope line, and wait for the dignitary to emerge. Then, execute him.
Bang, 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 bang. But as soon as you do it, you'll simply, completely, and totally forget that it ever happened. Open your eyes, sit up in your chair. Good. Excellent, feeling really good.
What will Ivan do?
That's him.
You did a spectacular job.
The experiment is a success. Tom wakes Ivan from his trance,
On the count of 5, I'll say fully refreshed. Open your eyes and awaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fully refreshed.
and Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky steps in.
Hey, Ivan, remember me?
Hey,
Dr. Jeff, how you doing, man?
How you doing?
Good. I think we're taking a walk inside here. Come on.
Okay, so that was just a quick overview.
And the guy doesn't remember.
He has no idea what he's done.
Wow.
He has no idea. Now, of course, he had a weapon that was a paintball gun,
Right.
or it was blanks or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy that was the subject of the experiment,
Mhm.
pretended that he had been taken down.
Right.
So it was very visceral. I mean, if you watch the
Wow.
video of it,
Scary.
it's amazing. But the idea was this guy is a prison guard.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
He's a prison guard, 32 years old, strong, moral person. The guy just simply grabs him by the arms to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are so easily induced. Okay. And I was going to tell you, I don't know if you've seen this yourself, Jan, but my dad would do these hypnosis seminars,
Mm-hmm.
and he would give people a suggestion. Again, please, nobody do this. Okay. He would say to people, I want you to clasp your hands together and squeeze them as hard as you can. So, he'd have an audience of 400 or 500 people. Then he would say, so that's the first suggestion. Now think about how suggestions work. The first suggestion is, I have something I want you to do. Now, if you don't question it, see, I'm the kind of person that would say, I'm not going to clasp my hands together. Why would I want to do that?
Right.
These people are immediately following the first suggestion.
Right.
The second suggestion is, now some of you will not be able to release your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person who is the most susceptible, aka psychotic, easily influenced, or the person who is most influenceable will accept the next suggestion. Okay, those became the subjects of the experiment, the hypnotic experiment, the stage experiment, in which he would take and he would, because they were already predisposed, they were pre-screened for being on a stage. Saying, I need you to come up on the stage and participate in this. So whatever they were told to do after that, they were doing. So
Right.
he would say, I'm going to give you now, and he said I would warn the people that I was going to do this. My dad would say, I'm going to tug on my tie, and every time I tug on my tie, you're going to have the impulse to move your shoes to the other feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then he would go 3, 2, 1, you're asleep, and they would all knock out. And then he would say, okay, now I want your attention. They would open up and watch him tug on his tie, and they would all start to fidget. Their feet would get fidgety and they'd start getting, nervous. And finally, one of them would change the shoes around, and then the other ones would follow. They all did it. Not one on the stage didn't. And this was his way of showing people that the hypnotic influences are that obvious. So they're not even subtle. The influences are overt. And so, but if you're born into a world where you think that giving in to those influences is a virtue, like the people that are attacking ICE agents, they think they're doing something virtuous. They've been given ideas.
Right.
And,
Right.
yesterday on one of the shows in the afternoon, there was a woman who has been following the money influences that supply the signage and the rest of it to the people who are out there protesting. And she says, if you look at the bottom of the sign, they actually have their logos. And they have all of these, from just for lack of a better remembrance of it, the Tides Foundation's George Soros influences.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looked at how, where the funding comes from. And these people print the signs and hand them out and tell people what to do. At these ICE conflicts, they're just going along because they've been told what to do. They take their marching orders, and so do other human beings without even realizing it.
So you're talking about whether or not people can be convinced to do something against their conscience. What is abortion? Abortion.
It's
the
murder.
Killing of the innocent.
Yeah.
But women have been, men and women have been convinced that it is a noble sacrifice for the woman, for her rights. Okay. Yep. It's just a faulty argument. Once you accept it, now you will act on it and feel fine about it. Although many women do carry guilt because they know in their spirit it was wrong. But this is happening on so many levels, and it's happening again right now with the anti-Semitic movement. I feel it in the air. This is what people in Germany felt like they were doing a noble thing by exterminating these terrible people. And they are painting Jews once again as the terrible people, the cause of all the problems.
I know, it's horrible. Look, we got 10 seconds. FHU.com is where you find out more. The premium side of the website has tens of thousands of hours of information. FHU.com. Continuing in 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back. And the idea that a person can be influenced simply by an idea is so frightening. And I don't know if you ever notice that somebody might say something and it starts to circulate around in your head, and you hear it over and over and over again. And not even knowing that actually that's what you're doing. It's just like a subconscious or a back of the mind thing.
Ruminating.
ruminating going around. It was if somebody gives you a compliment, it makes you feel good. Oh, that was such a wonderful, I had so much fun. It was wonderful. Or somebody says something mean to you. Yeah, what a son of a gun. You hear it and you hear it. And so see, people don't have a way, at least those who have not been awakened, they don't have a way to transcend the influence. They don't have a way to rise above it, to overcome it, and therefore it continues to operate subconsciously. Now, subconscious means below threshold, which means that there's things that you notice, like for example, I heard a message from a minister the other day. It was a 35 or 40-minute commercial for supporting their church, and it's like gave me a headache. I'm aware what's going on. I'm aware what's coming into my mind. It's like gave me a headache and put me in a bad mood. To be honest with you, I told my wife, that was a terrible message, and because it was all about service. Okay, fine. That's an aspect of being a good Christian, but it's not the whole. That's not the subject of a whole sermon. My point though is I'm aware because I choose to be aware. Can you imagine choosing not to be aware? I mean, that's a whole different reality that you're saying, I don't like being aware. I'd rather be unaware. And in choosing unawareness, you're allowing influence. You're actually inviting strange influences. So, on that note, I want to play the next clip of Brainwashed to Kill. That's what it's called. You can find it on YouTube. This is where I found it.
Okay.
And so here comes the second clip.
Tom and the team assemble to debrief Ivan.
Do you have any recollection of what you just did?
No.
There was another experiment that went on in the street. And Tom hypnotized you, and you walked up to a man, took a gun out of a backpack, and shot him 3 times.
You tell me that I did something and it's something real bad.
Okay, and I don't want you to be upset about this. This was part of the experiment. It was under hypnosis. But you didn't shoot him with a real gun. It was an airsoft gun.
Stuntman, everything just set up.
Again, this was part of the show. It was an experiment. Okay?
Wow.
How did he respond? The guy that did it.
You were hearing him talk.
Yeah, but he didn't get to say much.
He didn't get to say much. I have one more clip, but the idea was that he had to be awakened and informed as to what he had done because he had no conscious awareness of it.
Did they show him the video?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just think that the psychologist or whoever it was said to him, what you did, and then he said, "Oh, I did something bad." So
wow,
that kind of sparked a sense of conscience, like he mentally, intellectually, and here's where it gets really crazy, is that even intellectually, and the psychiatrist said, I don't want you to feel bad about it because it was part of the experiment. But isn't that also a justification for anything anybody does? Well, I just had to find out for myself. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that guy will be thinking about that for a long time, about what he did under the influence. It's very interesting.
There is one more clip. Let's listen to it.
We want to thank you so much, really, for having the courage to do this thing, my friend.
So what did the experiment ultimately reveal?
Pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you.
When I came into this, I thought we were all going to be pretty disappointed. But really, I'm kind of blown away. It really is quite remarkable that a guy like Ivan can be programmed to pull a gun out and shoot someone. I think we have some strong evidence that people can be brainwashed.
But this is only one experiment in one individual, and in science, of course, that doesn't count as proof. Can someone be brainwashed? Well, I have to say, as a professional, the jury's still out.
Idiot.
answering all my questions, it's left me with some more questions. And I like that. I think that's a sign of something that was worth doing.
As an intellectual professional, signs, the jury is still out. No.
It's obvious.
But here's the thing. It's obvious, but here's the thing. Not everybody will be induced into the deeper state of hypnotic influence because they still have an active conscience. So again, it depends on which direction you lean on it. You know, the sands of the hourglass accumulate. So in the sands of the conscious hourglass, the moral hourglass, they accumulate from above to below. They accumulate in us through conscious connection to how we affect other people. This is what makes narcissism so dangerous, is that the narcissist disregards how they affect other people because they only think about how they are being affected. And so, and I also believe that emotion is a key factor, which they didn't even talk about, but can you imagine being a prison guard dealing with the lowest of the low, the scum of the earth? I mean, I watch these cop shows. I love to watch cop shows. And you see how they are trained to deal humanely with inhumane people. They have to, because if they cross that line of being, brutal and horrible to the people that they're arresting and trying to apprehend, they become no different.
Well, yeah, it all hinges upon whether or not that person is awake, spiritually awake. Because if you're not, and you're just completely a carnal person, you are going to be affected. To me, it's the spirit that overrides these things.
That is absolutely correct. But you don't even know that you're giving it permission. See, that's the other thing about hypnosis, is that a person can only be hypnotized if they give permission for it. Now, whether it's a conscious above threshold or below threshold permission, that has to be determined, but they have to allow the hypnotic influence to have the effect that it has, because you don't have to. It's not something that is compulsory. You can say no, right? You can just simply say, if you have the cognizance of it, no, I'm not going to allow that to infiltrate me. Quick break here, FHU.com. Find out about the Be Still and No exercise. You will not regret it. Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right, and welcome back. We are talking about the influences of life. Now, I've got some Roy Masters clips here. He's talking about life. This is from 2010, and I want to play this for you, Jen. You ready?
Okay, ready.
Yeah, so being upset, anything that can upset you, creates a state of emotion, and pretty soon you lose reason, and you tend to believe the seducer, or especially so if they're prominent. All right, now, like a movie star, but a politician more likely, or a deceiver, or a liar, or someone who wants to rob you and embezzle your money and your family. You'll see the contradiction, but you're not able to speak up to it. They're able to confuse you about, your wife can do it, your husband can do it, your children can do it. Kids do it to each other, teachers do it to children.
The overriding of one's own sense of things. But again, it's the emotion factor, because once you respond, once you react, you start to fall. It's like a domino effect. You start to give in. Once somebody can upset you, and they may not even be trying to, but you are upsettable, the domino effect begins to start. And so then you have the survival instincts that take over, and then you end up in a fight or flight situation. But it's all as a result of responding, and you become the effect of an external cause. You lose touch with your internal sense of things, the right and the wrong. And this is what psychosis is based on.
Well, so what's the solution, David?
The solution is, unfortunately, the person has to, the scripture says, none can come unto the Father unless they be drawn. Well, God is constantly drawing you back home to himself. Now, the question is, are you a person who inclines to listen to that inclination, or are you a person that resists it? A lot of people resist the inclination toward going back to the spiritual side of life because they've had hypocrites and cruelty, and they've been hurt by other people who said they were going to try to do the right thing by them, and they never did. My dad just described that. So the inclination, I said, the sands of the hourglass accumulate. And so depending upon your experience and your attitude about anything, it could be anything. It's like, and you were talking about the people who are going back to Jew hatred now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs a scapegoat.
Right.
And no, if you want to take responsibility for the things that you're doing in your life, you're not going to look for a scapegoat. You're not going to find a scapegoat. You're going to take responsibility and try to do something about it constructively. But if you don't want to face it in yourself, you're never going to face it on the outside.
And if you feel like you are the arbiter of justice, you are going to make things right in the world. You're going to take out, the people that you think are bad. It's very dangerous. But when your faith is in God and you realize that justice is his, justice is mine, saith the Lord, then you withhold yourself from making those final decisions about people or people groups, because that's where the devil gets you. Once he gets you to think, there was another genocide that happened.
There's the scripture though, as a man or woman thinketh.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Right.
So it is.
There was another genocide, David, between the Hutus and the Tutsis.
Yes.
And on the radio, they kept calling the other side vermin.
Yeah.
And the people started to look at them as vermin who they could just kill.
Yep.
It's hypnotic suggestion.
That's exactly right. But see, implanted below that, it's like if you try to grow a garden on concrete, nothing grows. I mean, maybe it finds a crack and it grows up through the crack. There's got to be a fertile soil for hypnotic influence to flourish. And that fertile soil has been cultivated, right? It's been prepared long before the influence shows up. And so that when you have, children that watch parents and that they see that their parents are hypocrites, because children are innocent, they see the truth. And so the soil gets prepared by almost every day of your life for whether or not you receive a seed from above or a seed of deceit and conflict. And so it's very clear that most people don't realize that even why they feel the way they do. And I can tell you that, we just heard yesterday that the other person that tried to assassinate Trump was sentenced to life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
All these people that are out there that are the Manchurian candidates, they are on autopilot. And Sirhan himself said, I don't remember anything. He says, I remember in a woman in a polka dot dress. That's all I remember.
Right. And that was probably the trigger for him.
That was the trigger for him. They were all predisposed. They were set up to do the deed, and they thought it was their own idea. Once you believe that something is your own idea, you're more inclined to give into it.
Or they don't, like you said, they don't even remember doing it.
And they don't remember doing it because that's part of the suggestion that's implanted with the information about what they should do.
And I'm going to bring this subject up again. Yeah. But I'm thinking about Candace Owens and how she actually is doing this by repeating these narratives over and over and over again about Erica Kirk. She's literally, and the people, see, they want to be part of what she's doing. She's a celebrity, and she's drawing them into her and her knowledge of things. Like she'll say, I just don't feel like that's right. Something's fishy going on, whatever it is. She pulls people in. She's got all these, very large female listeners. There's males out there too, but and she's literally feeding them every day these suggestions over and over. And I see the comments by her listeners. They have become very, very hostile in their remarks. Like, they believe now that Erica is this horrible person because of this, that, and the other thing. She's putting together this puzzle, and they're receiving it in a hypnotic way, and they are very hostile. They sound like her when they're, repeating these things. And she somehow, I don't know, maybe she's hypnotized too by a spirit. She must be. But there's a very large population that is under this influence, in my opinion. And it's a strange thing to watch.
Well, look at it objectively for a moment and realize that she has a Messiah complex.
Oh, totally. That's right. I see that.
And based in underneath that is a suspicion that somebody is robbing them of something precious. So see, she doesn't want to allow anybody to believe other than what she wants them to believe. This is a hypnotic condition.
Mm-hmm.
The hypnosis and the hypnotist, whatever it is that they are suggesting, it could be, like I said, based in an idea like Tammy Bruce, who's a wonderful person, by the way, but she was deceived into believing she was doing something good. And those are the most powerful hypnotists. Those who really, really believe that they're doing the right thing, but it's all about the wrong thing. They don't even see it themselves.
Well, that's an interesting thing. You brought up the Messiah complex, Savior complex. I definitely saw that. And there is something interesting about this personality. A person who stands up strong, like, I am going to take on, the world, and I am the only one that really cares about Charlie. I'm the only one, not his organization, not his wife and kids. I was his friend. I was the best friend. And she sets herself up, and people, they like saviors. Okay?
But people want something to believe in.
That's right. But what I notice is that a person that's really listening to God does not set their self up to be a savior.
Mm-mm.
They know who the savior is. And when they start carrying that burden, and I think all of us have done this to a certain degree in our life, where we think we're going to make this right. We're going to be the person. When you realize that's not the right energy. And I believe that's what Judas thought. He was going to make him the political one. See what I'm saying? It's when we feel this drive that we're going to make everything right. We're going to be the do-gooder. We're going to be the savior. That's a dangerous state of mind. Let go and just realize God does the saving as you relinquish your own thing that you're believing in.
You see, a person who has been subject to an oppressor, I want you just to be objectively clear on her psychopathology, that she was, as a Black person, she has had and held negative attitudes toward, let's say, a group of people that she believed at one point, maybe she doesn't believe it anymore, but she believed that she was being oppressed. So now she transfers her sense of oppression to any group of people that she perceives to be oppressed. And she thinks that her friendship with Charlie was her defining of her identity. That friendship defined her identity. He was my friend. He trusted me more than anybody. So now she believes that the others who are not following where she's going are being oppressed. And it gives her a motivation, an impetus to fight. Now, we got to take a quick break. FHU.com. We'll be right back. All right, last segment. In 3, 2, 1. And welcome back. It is Perilous World Radio. So my point to you, Jan, was that her identity was defined by her relationship with Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and that now she believes that she has to. Not only does she feel the need to do it, but she feels it's a compulsion to try to save people from what it is that, for whatever it is she believes. The other day, Candace said something like she believes that Erica Kirk is a hybrid robot.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. But okay, but she believes that it's so deep. She the machinations of the
further
imagination.
and further into the delusion. It just keeps spiraling downward.
And she feels that somebody's got to save them.
Well,
and that comes from a sense of helplessness because nobody saved her. She had to become a friend of the side of the world that oppressed her.
You know what, David? What just occurred to me? All of this saving, she's really saving herself.
Of course.
And I'll tell you why.
Yes,
I'll tell you what I see.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this either to you or to Alan. I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched a few, and I've caught enough.
Yeah.
She told a story that after Charlie was married to Erica, I don't know how long, Charlie had an interview with this guy, okay, that Candace wasn't apparently fond of. And she was in the elevator with Charlie, and she goes, "So have you seen so-and-so lately or talked to so-and-so lately?" And he says,
"Oh, yeah, I've
no.
seen this." Mm-hmm.
And
she said he lied to her.
She said he lied. See,
Yes.
Here's the thing. This is, to me, the thorn that's in her side, that Charlie lied to her. Why would Charlie, her best friend, lie to her? You know why? Because she was being intrusive in his life, I'm sure.
And he knew that she would have a bad reaction to it.
Well, and here's the thing. He's married now. He has his own thing going. She's got her thing going, but she wanted to keep her hand in things and guiding him. See what I mean? And I think he just didn't feel the need to divulge it to her, right?
That's right.
But that moment right there, nobody's going to put baby in the corner, if you want to say it that way.
That's right. Yeah.
So to me, but here's what she did. She blamed Erica. She said, the only thing different in his life was you, Erica, and it was coming from you. So this is why she's going after Erica. It is a personal vendetta, in my opinion.
Yep. I think you're right.
If she takes Erica out, then she has saved her own reputation. She has proved that Erica is the evil one, and Charlie really loved her and never would have lied to her. See what I mean? It's just, it's a psychological type of thing.
I think it's absolutely spot on. 100%. 100%. I want to play one more clip of Roy Masters here.
All right.
They see reality. The teachers' union, especially the teachers' union, are rife with it. The children see reality. They know that things are upside down, but they're being confused. But some of them get converted. They see that when something's upside down, reality, confusion, contradiction, like the golf thing, is reality. There's nothing wrong with it. So what's wrong with that? It's for the environment. Well, it's the same Gulf. It's the same waters. The drilling is, the oil is deeper. So, contradiction, reality, and they'd rather die and see you dead and admit they're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That goes right into what we were talking about.
Yeah. Because
once you start to believe something and defend it as if it was your idea. See, this is the other subtle part of it, is that there's, like I said, the GPS of darkness waits for a ping. And that, what you just described as of her being, Candace being upset with the idea that Erica is somehow interfering.
Yeah.
Ping! Now comes this flood of information.
Yes.
that validates the suspicion.
Yeah. Yes.
And
that's
it.
Hypnosis.
Yeah.
She feels like she owned Charlie first. She had dibs on him. They were best friends. Somebody here said that Candace was not even at his wedding to Erica, which is interesting. So she didn't outwardly come right out, but she waited her time. She waited her time to be able to go after Erica. She acted like she wasn't against Erica, but slowly, the tables turned, and she couldn't help but reveal some of her resentment toward her. So I do feel like this is a very personal mission for her, and she's managed to draw in many others, shrouding it in, I'm the one that cares, and I'm the one that's going to do what the government isn't doing and the wife isn't doing. So, and she's got all this support, It's kind of like what I say the other day, the Fatal Attraction friend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of this show. We got a minute left. Sum it up for us, will you?
Oh my gosh, what did we talk about? We talked about hypnosis.
Hypnotic influence. Yes.
Okay, so here's what I want to say. Jesus said to Peter in the boat, keep your eyes on me. It is true. What takes your attention will control you. So if you keep your attention on the Father and the Son, and you put truly in your heart, you truly believe in your heart what he says, and you follow it, you will be protected from all these forces. He is the one to keep your attention on.
Yeah. And you know what Jesus said too? He said, of myself, I can do nothing. So if you really think you're going to take on some Herculean thing and conquer it on your own, of yourself, that's where the devil's got you. You could still take on Herculean things, but if you have God with you, and all things are possible.
And it has to be his
God.
idea.
All right, FHU.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. There it is.
All righty. GWC says she was ignored and got no attention. Oh, you don't do that to a...
Open Eyes says moral licensing. Yep, that's it. I was his friend, therefore I have to defend his whatever.
But yet it's really about her. It's just, that's the way it is. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for listening today. Thank you, David.
Okay. Thank you, Jan.
See you next week.
Hey.
And let's see. Are we done early? Because
a few minutes.
He's not in here yet.
Yeah, it's because I blow
chat
through
with
the
the
breaks.
people till he comes on here, because I'm not sure what to do.
Let's see here.
I don't remember.
Eva in Los Angeles. Is that my friend Eva from Los Angeles? I haven't spoken to Eva for a long time. New Jersey.
Mine's not coming up.
Is that my friend from Eva? She's like 5th down, New Jersey.
Oh, terrific show. Watching with eyes wide open. Thank you, love, from Eva, LA. She said yes, absolutely.
That's my friend. Oh my gosh.
Longtime
Eva.
Friend?
Yes, I mean decades and decades.
Wow.
Eva, good to know. Good to know that you're still with us. Thank God. Thank God. Oh boy. Wow.
Somebody's talking about a movie called Genius about Thomas Wolfe. That sounds interesting. I'm always looking for a good movie because there's not many out there. Okay. What else?
The whole topic of moral licensing is a huge topic because most people don't know that they engage in it. And it just starts with a thought like, no, I have just done this for so long. Well,
True. I deserve better than this. Right?
Something, just a little tiny thought that metastasizes.
And you know what? It's always about something you deserve to have or to be. You've suffered long enough, whatever.
Well, I have been talking more recently about this idea that God takes away from you what takes you away from him. And see, the idea of clinging and holding on to things or giving yourself rationalizations as to why it's okay or why you should get what you want out of life. This is a whole idea of, the law of attraction and Tony Robbins mentality, make the world conform to what you want. And so, yeah, I just,
honestly, there's a word when you manifesting, right?
Yeah,
That's all witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's still another form
Sure it
of
is.
witchcraft.
It's a metaphysical alchemy.
Yes.
You get a little bit of this, you mix it with that. And
That's right.
It's all emotional alchemy. You try to get things, manipulate people, and
it's so true.
And God help you if you're successful.
Very true. Until you realize who you really are, you're going to do that. You're going to just try to get your identity from everything, create your own life. Everybody does it to a certain degree for a certain amount of time. And then hopefully the people who have woken up from that speak about it, speak their testimony, and then it inspires people to think, well, maybe there is something more,
Well, that's a great point, because you have to speak the truth into the world. I mean, Jesus didn't come, as a mind communicator like the aliens.
Right.
He came with his voice and he spoke the truth into the world. And that's
what we're supposed to do.
That's right.
That is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If the evil is going to use their voice, shouldn't we use ours?
Of course. You got to.
It all comes out. It comes through the words. All comes through the mouth.
And this is how, and again, this is a very fundamental idea, how you become a co-creator with God, because you're contributing into the world what it is that comes from the invisible. What is seen is created by what is not seen. And you're contributing into the material world the thing.
Are you still there? Oh, David, you just glitched out. He's gone.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't
you
know what
glitched
happened.
out for a minute.
You did too, actually.
Oh, okay.
Strangely enough.
Strange.
And I didn't see any drop off of any kind. Who knows?
Well, at least it didn't happen during the...
I can tell you one thing, the devil's definitely listening. We're exposing secrets here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Jones said that if we just drop off, that the thing will stop itself.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
I don't know how to stop it. I have no control over stopping it, so.
He showed me before, but I don't want to mess with it. So we'll just say goodbye and see you next. I'll see you next week, and you'll see David tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for all your comments.
Thanks, Jan.
Oh, okay, awesome. That is perfect. I was just surprised to see you. I'm like, wait a minute. What are
I
you
know,
doing
I
out
know. I
here?
texted you, but I don't think you got it.